Our final objective today is going to be defining peristalsis. We'll talk about segmentation, and this is really how substances are moved through the GI tract, so motility of the GI. Now, movement of the GI wall is a very important component in the movement of food through the GI. That is why there's such a thick muscularis externa. That thick, smooth muscle layer is really important in providing those vigorous contractions that propel food along. Now, the functions of motility are twofold. We want to not only move the food along the tract, but we also want to mix it properly. We want to make sure that it's well mixed, evenly distributed, so that all those nutrients are exposed to the apical surface of the cells to be absorbed. Now, there are waves of contraction in the muscularis mucosa that help to beat or push or propel this food along. But remember, this is smooth muscle. So smooth muscle has that rhythmic contraction that is going to syncopate throughout all the smooth muscle cells. Remember, we talked about that single unit smooth muscle where everything is beating at one, and that provides that rhythmic movement that helps propel food along. Now, the term peristalsis refers to the beating motion of the GI tract to help move food along. And peristalsis really incorporates several different movements in several different directions. So peristalsis involves the muscles that we talked about yesterday. We talked about a circular muscle, we talked about a longitudinal muscle. So remember we said the fibers of the GI are going in different directions. The circular parts of the muscle are basically changing the diameter of the tube. So they're contracting and changing the diameter. The longitudinal parts of the muscle are changing the length of the tube. So when they contract, they will shorten the length of the GI tract, and together those coordinated movements is what we call peristalsis, and this moves the food along. Now, segmentation is a little bit different. Segmentation helps with the mixing of food. And when we say segmentation, this means that the area proximal to where the food is and the area distal to where the food is, they're coordinating in their contraction. So basically, we have pockets of food that is basically being squeezed along the GI in this rhythmic way, right? Contracting the segment before, contracting the segment after, contracting the segment before. And that continues to really mix those contents very well. Okay, we don't want just the exterior surfaces of the food to be in contact with the GI. We want to mix it very well so there's that even distribution so that all the nutrients can be exposed to the apical surface of the epithelial cells to be absorbed. All right, let's talk about peristalsis here. Let's look at this this example, this image. So basically the proximal segment of the tube, the circular muscle will contract. So when those circular fibers contract, that segments that part of the tube, the area of the tube that's proximal to where the food is. While that's happening, the longitudinal part of the muscle is relaxing. So what we have is a decrease in the diameter, and that's sort of pinching the tube in at this proximal region. What's happening at the distal region? So at the distal region, right, simultaneously at the same time, the circular muscles are relaxing, so the opposite of what we saw at the proximal segment. The circular parts of the muscle are relaxing, and the longitudinal parts are contracting. And that is changing the diameter, that's increasing the diameter and decreasing the length of the tube. All right, and so when these two movements are coordinating, right, the proximal segment contracting and relaxing, the distal segment contracting and relaxing, we have this mulching of the food, but also the propulsion of the food further along the tube towards the distal areas. Okay. And that is peristalsis. Segmentation, on the other hand, is requiring the movement of circular muscles. So again, when that circular muscle contracts, it constricts or it pinches the GI so that the proximal area is closed off, the distal area is closed off, and we can properly mix that food. So you can see how, let's say there's some fats in this red area of the GI. Let's say there were some proteins in this area of the GI. With segmentation, we have an equal mixing of these components so that there's a nice even mixture of the nutrients across the chyme, across the bolus, and we have that mixing very well. Okay, so this coordination is very important to the movement of food